Well, after the last month in Wrexham, where else could we start this month's episode but outside Stoke Kairas? Undoubtedly the last game was a bit of a highlight in beating Stockport here at the racecourse. It's May, the weather is getting a bit better, and welcome to Wrexham Property TV. And coming up on this month's episode of Wrexham Property TV, if you're now selling your property, let me give you the best advice I can in terms of pricing. I would say predominantly vendors believe that they should always ask a far higher price than they're expecting in order to be able to come back down to a price they are prepared to accept. Now, that process was nurtured and it grew when there was no internet, and marketing property for sale was very different then. Now, marketing a property for sale is exclusively done on property web portals. And as my children would say, Dad, it is a swipe left, swipe right society. And you may know from your own experience, when you go on a website to actually shop for a property, the amount of time it takes for you to make a decision on whether the property in front of you is one you're going to ask for a viewing is 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds at best. So having a realistic price as a headline price and a really good photograph is absolutely imperative. 2 or 3 seconds, that's all your property will have for people to make a decision whether that's one they want to view or not. And if it's not, you're out of the game immediately. The other factor that you might not know is for 4 to 6 weeks, when you start marketing a property, things called algorithms help you get prominence on those property web portals. After that period, they dilute and they just go away. To simply think after 4 to 6 weeks and then bring the price down, you have missed an opportunity, because those algorithms will not be as strong and won't be in your favor. So a realistic price, that needs to be the headline number from the very start, alongside a first-class property picture and also a property video as well, because that will elevate the marketing of your property and will naturally attract more viewings online. Well, the year so far has been a far better year in terms of sales, holding up strongly against 2023, whether that's the McElhenney and Reynolds effect. I'm sure newspapers will tell you it is. What you are finding though is on the sales market, there's been a really marked reduction in the number of people who are looking to purchase a house. That number is quoted as being 40% less buyers in the marketplace than there was this time last year, which means us as agents have got to work harder, because with that decrease in the number of viewers active in the market, it means we've got to work harder in terms of how to best market property. We've got to also look at ways in which we can do it more innovatively and more creatively, be it through social media, be it through video. The other factor is obviously the mortgage rate. There has been encouraging noises from the Bank of England governor saying that there was going to be likely of a reduction in interest rates. That certainly would help the market, but I don't think there appears to be any room for thinking that's going to happen before July or August. But when it does, undoubtedly, I would say the number of active buyers will increase in the market as a whole. The actual sale price achieved in Wrexham is running currently at 2.5% down on where it was in 2023. Now, on the rental side, as we know, we had the busiest rental market due to there being an oversupply of prospective tenants compared with an undersupply of rental properties. One thing that certainly has curtailed on the rental side in Wrexham is the ever-increasing burden of rental prices. You're now looking at a rental price in Wrexham which you can more easily identify and is a lot less volatile than it was. 7 to 750 would be a 2-bedroom property. You're looking now at 900 as being a point at which you would expect to get a good 3-bedroom property, and 4-bedroom properties are well over £1,000. So it's a different world, a different landscape to where we were 3 years ago. The good news for prospective tenants is what looked like an ever-increasing trajectory in terms of rental prices, I think have abated now, and it's a lot more consistent in terms of rental prices going forward. Part of the legislation that came to effect a couple of years ago, if it's not a phrase you've heard of before, or it may be familiar to you, but you don't know the depth of information that you would like to know about it, let me tell you, that is a problem for you. It is possibly and potentially the most punitive part of the new regulations that came into effect. If you do not react to a maintenance issue within a rental property within a reasonable timeline, the tenant can receive all the rent money that they paid to you already for the time it has unreasonably taken to address that maintenance issue. Financially, that could be punitive. When you're now thinking of increasing the rent, it is imperative that you use now the right form. It's not enough to say what you're going to do verbally or indeed in writing on an email. There is a form, RHW12, that you'll see on the Rent Smart Wales website. Any increase you make will be seen as an illegal increase, and people can take you to court over it. That is the form that you use for a variation in rent. Otherwise, any increase will be invalid, and they could claim compensation from previously paid rent as well. When a property is vacant and a new tenant is actually going to move in, we do a pre-move-in check on that property. It's about things like ensuring the smoke detectors work. It's about ensuring that the boiler actually works. It's about ensuring that there is no obvious leakages at the property. It's almost like an MOT on the rental property. 60% of all calls by tenants are likely to happen within the first week of the tenancy. So this check sorts the matter out at source. It may not be the most interesting subject on your agenda, but it's really, really important. 70% of all fraud in the UK today is property fraud, and fraudulent applications for tenancies have increased by 30% since 2023. We've now invested in a state-of-the-art tenancy referencing process, which uses AI technology to ensure that the tenant we find for you has to clear a far higher bar than ever before, and also to ensure the evidence they provide for us is absolutely genuine. I've come across recently a couple of cases where landlords have been with other agencies whereby at the end of a tenancy, the landlords have felt unhappy about the state of the property, the way it was left by the tenant, and that the deposit has actually been paid back in full to the tenant. You as a landlord can make sure that the tenant has left the property in first-class condition, and you need to give your written consent for the deposit to be returned. Here we are in the car park of the iconic Turf pub, world famous. I thought this would be a great place to find out what the current mood of Wrexham fans is like, and also, more importantly, to understand what the realistic expectations are for the club in the coming season. Well, no surprises outside the racecourse, and I've got someone wearing a Wrexham shirt proudly.
When the takeover came out, these were the original ones.
The originals?
So I just treasure it now. I don't wear it for games, I just treasure it. I've been a Wrexham supporter since 1966. When my dad brought me here at the age of 9 and sat me on the white wall that used to go around the pitch.
Wow. After back-to-back promotions, which has been, you know, the stuff of dreams, what are your realistic expectations in League One for next season? My
expectations, the first of all, is to stay in League One. We don't want to drop, because that would just kill everybody's confidence. I think we can hold our own, and I think we can be mid-table stroke playoffs. We got a good team. The players he's bought recently, he's got a good squad, and I think we're capable of doing well.
So how come you're a Wrexham fan, bearing in mind the location of your home?
Yeah, well, I bet that about explains it, doesn't it? Yeah, when they took over the club, Rob and Ryan, obviously, we a lot of people who were football in tuned in America took an interest, and as they've promoted it and risen up the leagues, we've been able to follow along pretty well. Yeah. So it's become a popular visiting spot and destination for those of us that follow European football from America.
Where would you realistically expect Wrexham to place themselves next year?
I think three promotions on the spin would be a lot to ask, but they have good funding, and they've brought in, you know, some pretty high quality players in the last 2 off seasons. I think it remains to be seen what happens this off season. But I would say if they can finish mid-table in League One, that provides a good base to maybe go for promotion again the season following.
As if I didn't know already, bearing in mind we're in the car park outside the Turf in Wrexham, what brought both yourself and your wife to Wrexham?
Mainly the doco. We were hooked, and we were coming here for a holiday, and we thought we've got to come down to Wrexham and check everything out. So we're here.
What are your realistic expectations for Wrexham next season?
You have to look at maybe just being a stable team in the division. You might need to bring a few new players in, just, you know, a bit more experience at that level. Look, if you get promotion and you do it, well, all well and good, but maybe the expectations might be too high to get that at this stage. But I think definitely if you can consolidate for next season, you'll be doing well, and then push on from there.
Arlington, Virginia is hardly commuter belt territory for Wrexham, Mark. Right. So what are you doing here today?
I had a big birthday yesterday. My partner Kate, she devised this surprise birthday gift, and I didn't know where I was going, and she wanted me to, obviously she wanted us to come to Wrexham, because in America, of course, Wrexham is very famous because of the documentary, and people have latched on to Wrexham, Welcome to Wrexham, because of the story really and how it developed. They've learned about the Wrexham community and the families and the players and their families.
I just think it's marvellous how far we've come now.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's just wonderful. And to come to the match, it's such a lovely, little children come, and the atmosphere is just brilliant.
It's electric. What do you think the prospects are for next season? What would be your realistic expectations?
I just wish we can go as high as we can.
That's an end of another Wrexham Property TV special. If you are a local business that believe they would benefit from us doing a video piece on you and your services, or maybe even a new business that would like some exposure, Please don't hesitate, get in touch. It's what we do.